Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are the Team Savage Love. We were going to present the moral absolutism. What is moral absolutism? Moral absolutism is an ethical view that all actions are intrinsically right or wrong. Stealing, for instance, might be considered to be always immoral, even if done for the well-being of others, and even if it does, the end promotes such a good. Moral absolutism claims that certain actions are right or wrong, regardless of the context of the act. Thus, certain actions are inherently moral or immoral, regardless of the belief and goals of the individual. Society or culture that engage in the actions. It states that morals are inherent in the laws of the universe, the nature of humanity, the will of God, or some other fundamental source. Example is stealing food to feed a starving family, and even if does, in the end, promote such a good. What is good with moral absolutism? Moral absolutism has been favored historically largely because it makes the creation of laws and the upholding of the judicial system much simpler and manifested itself in outdated concepts such as the divine rights of kings. What is wrong in moral absolutism? The challenge with moral absolutism, however, is that there will always be strong disagreements about which moral principles are correct and which are incorrect. For example, most people around the world probably accept the ideas that we should treat others as we wish to be treated ourselves.
Now let's move on. Moral absolutism assert that there are certain universal moral principles by which all people's action may be judged. It is a form of deontology. The challenge with moral absolutism, however, is that there will always be a strong disagreement about which principles are correct and which are not. Deontologists think that moral action is essentially about following a set of rules that forbids or requires certain actions. These rules specifies actions that are known to be right or wrong in relation to the rule in questions. So, since deontologists equate right or wrong action with obedience or disobedience to moral laws, they see rightness or wrongness as intrinsic to certain types of actions. Like, someone is considered as having done moral wrong. For example, his or her act intentionally deceives or intentionally harms someone. It is important to distinguish deontological moral theories from absolutist moral theories. Moral absolutism is the view according to which some actions are wrong, whatever the consequences. Moral absolutisms about lying, for example, would say that lying is always wrong, whatever the consequences. But moral absolutisms differs from deontology in the following way. Absolutisms endorse two claims. The first one is that some actions are intrinsically right or wrong, and the second one is that the consequences of an actions of these sorts can never override its intrinsic rightness or wrongness. Therefore, a deontological ethical theory is committed to the first claim but not to the second one. All absolutist theories are therefore deontological, but not all deontological theories are absolutist.
To the famous thinkers of moral absolutism, who is Immanuel Kant. Immanuel Kant was a German philosopher and one of the foremost thinkers of the Enlightenment. His comprehensive and systematic work in epistemology, or the theory of knowledge, ethics, and aesthetics, greatly influenced all subsequent philosophy, especially the various schools of Kantianism and idealism. Moral absolutism is the belief that one rule must apply to all societies, individuals and circumstances regardless of the situation, and that certain actions are completely wrong in themselves regardless of the consequences. Immanuel Kant was a prominent promoter of moral absolutism, and his formulation of the deontological theory of the categorical imperative was essentially absolutist in nature. A common example of moral absolutism is the Kantian ethics, the deontological ethical theory produced by Immanuel Kant. Kant's morality is based on firm belief that morality exists universally and is independent of human experience. He argues that acting out of moral feelings is something fundamentally opposed to acting out duty and reason. Thus, Kant is a moral absolutist in the sense that all persons have the same moral duties, for all persons are equal as rational beings. But this absolutism does not mean that Kant holds our moral duties are not relative to the situation in which we find ourselves.
My report is criticism of that theory. A primary criticism of moral absolutism regards how we came to know what the absolute morals are. Therefore, so critics say there is no conceivable source of such morals, and none can be called absolute. So even if there are absolute morals, there will be never universal agreement on just what those morals are. And next is, for morals to be truly absolute, they will have to have a universally unquestioned source, interpretation, and authority, which critics claim is an impossibility. And let's proceed to another of the more obvious criticism is the sheer diversity of moral opinion, which exists between societies, and even within societies in the world today, which suggests that there cannot be a single true morality.
So, let's proceed in the benefits of moral absolutism. It allows moral rules to be evaluated critically. It's fair as the people are treated the same as the rules are the same for everyone. If a moral rule is right, then there would be no need to have different rules for different people because the absolute rules are universal. And morality is not based on individuals, groups, and preference, but rather on absolute and universal values. Enable society to share common values, some are of which can be found in the Bible. You should not kill Jews, Muslims, and Christians believe in this. It gives authority to human rights legislation, designed to protect people's human rights. It allows society to evaluate the morality to another society. A society can judge action which are wrong and act on that judgment. And last, absolutism provides a fixed ethical code which gives clear moral judgment in situations which there is a need for ethical guidance.
Let's proceed to the next part of our report. The three issues that I am going to mention here are the most applicable to our theory, and these are killing, lying, and homosex. Here in killing someone is immoral. Here are the examples of killing. First, it is not the case with euthanasia, which spares someone suffering from immense pain and suffering. Second, killing is justified in the case of self-defense. The last one example is shooting of a serial killer by police is moral. The second issue is homosexuality. Homosexuality is morally wrong. These are examples of homosexuality. First, for heterosexuals, it is. For homosexuals, it can never be wrong since this is what they are biologically and psychologically born with. Second, for conservative religious fanatics, it is wrong. For the inclusive liberals of 21st century, it can never be. And the last one is morality depends on your social position and experiences. And the last issue is lying. Lying is immoral. Here are the examples of in lying. There is a murderer at your door with a sharp knife, asking whether your friend is there in your home. Now, if you speak truth, you are being immoral towards your friend. Another example for lying, lying for a good cause can be moral.
Let us proceed for my own evaluation about this theory. Moral absolutism is wrong because if is stealing someone's food, someone thinks it's called unethically or immoral, cut inaction is right. According to the religious people who praise God, they are the good person, but in reality, the person who are being prayed every day, they are the one who do the wrong action because they believe that if they do the wrong, they are always been the right. But if you do the right, you are the one who called bad. Moral absolutism for me is right because it's right to steal for the family to have a food. It's wrong for the others because they are not the only one in that situation. Because what they are just looking at is what you did wrong. They are not looking at what or for whom you are doing it. Because in this world, many people are judge you because they don't look at what they did right.
5 questions to reflect on the moral absolutism. First, is it wrong to lie? Second, what does moral absolutism say about ethics and morality? Third, what are the challenges of moral absolutism? 4. Which is the best description of moral absolutism? 5. What is moral absolutism in a changing world?